Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. Welcome to the show. It is Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. It is June 21st, 2024. Welcome to the show. And it's been a busy week. I finally landed a job, so I am no longer unemployed. So I'm back working again. So that's a very good thing. So I've been trying to get back into the work life and getting adjusted to the hours and working in the hot shop. And we've had a heat wave here in Toronto for the last week. It was hitting pretty close to 100 at some points. It was hitting 42 degrees Celsius with the humidex. It gets really humid here in the summer. So today is the first day of summer officially. Things are heating up, not only in temperature, but also on the inventor side. So hopefully we'll have Mike join us soon, and our regular panel will be joining us. I haven't really heard from anybody this week, so I don't even know if Philip's going to show up tonight. We'll see how things go. We've just started. I think the big news of the week is I finally got monetized on my YouTube channel, which came out of nowhere. I have no idea how I got monetized. Um, it had to do with the amount of watch time hours on my channel. So I think it seemed to meet the requirements of YouTube monetization. So now I'm monetized. You can join my channel. It has a join button there. And some of the content now I'm going to be putting members only. I think I've established myself enough that I could actually do this. And, so I'm still going to put a lot of free stuff out there, but there will be the odd video that I do that I'm going to just do for members only and also on the Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, you also get the videos as well. So, things are, getting better. Obviously, the channel is growing. Um, yeah, so uh, I think the big thing that I've been working on for the last, while on the in my projects is the power cell, and I've been trying to back engineer what Michael Krantz. He was from Quantum Magnetics. He had a YouTube channel there. So he started way back in 2010, 2009 ish, and he developed these quantum power cells. Basically, they're just like two graphite plates slapped together, and he's got a special mix inside, which I've been trying to back engineer to get the same effects he was getting. Now, unfortunately, he passed away in 2021. His power cells were actually patent pending, um, so I can't find any record of his patent if he actually filed it or if it actually even went through. Everybody, live chat is open. Um, Also, I'll put my link there if anybody. Oh, we got Philip here. We'll get Philip on. And Philip is here. Hey, Philip, how's it going?
Hey Mike, I might be on and off because it's the the Stanley Cup tonight.
Oh, Stanley Cup, yeah. We have priorities, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking tonight. It's a special case.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just been kind of going over the week. My channel finally got monetized.
Oh,
I don't know.
nice.
Yeah, so I got that up and running now. So I'm actually monetized by YouTube, and I started the new job this week, so I got that going for me. I'm not unemployed anymore. I actually got a paycheck coming in now, so that's a good thing. So it's been going pretty good at work. A lot of stuff to get sorted, a lot of paperwork. They're setting all the IT stuff up for me and everything, so that's kind of taken a little bit of time. But other than that, everything's been pretty good. What's been going on with you in the last week?
Um, well, nothing much. I'm not at home right now, but
Oh, you're on the road.
yeah, I'm on the road and I've been talking to academic institution to so that they're gonna test my anti gravity experiment,
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
yeah,
Where are you? Where are you now, anyways?
right now I'm in Gatineau, right next to Ottawa.
Oh, you're in Gatineau. Okay, I've been there. Yep.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, so they're gonna handle it. They're gonna. I asked them to use greater power than 120 amps.
Right.
So they're gonna come back to me with a plan in the next 2 weeks about where they can find like 500 amps, something like that. I
Yeah.
asked for 500 amps, and they'll see
Uh,
if they can generate that.
know where you can get that from? An arc welder. If you get an arc welder, they go up to 500-600 amps.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's where you can get heavy duty power if you want it. So you might want to look
Really?
into arc welder or MIG welder. I know the arc welders. They do go up to about 600 amps. They draw a lot of current.
Oh yeah.
So you can pick those up. Actually, at Canadian Tire, you might want to check them out and see how many amps they'll actually put out.
Oh yeah. So
But
you call that arc welder?
yep, arc welder. No, for welding.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, arc welder. Yeah, you can see my Canadian Tire. They have some. I'm not sure how many amps they do, but I think the ones that don't quote me on this. I believe they can put up about 200 amps. Um, so even still, 200 amps. That's a lot of juice. So
Yeah, it's already better than the car battery charger.
oh
Stuff.
yeah, way better. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, you might want to look into that, or just look up arc welding online, and you can find the arc welders, and they'll tell you what amps those arc welders can put out.
yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a simple solution
Yeah,
to get the power you need for your experiments. But yeah, you have to respect that power. That will kill you. Like one
yeah,
mistake with that, and you're finished.
yeah. Yeah, you got that right. But is it like safe equipment in general, or?
Oh yeah, it's widely used. Like most machine shops have arc welders, and
Yeah,
they're used widely in the industry. It's very common now.
yeah,
So they
uh,
they use high amps. I know the ones at my work they use 600 amps. So
yeah.
that's a lot of juice. Lot of juice.
600 amps. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
DC, huh?
yeah. It's DC amps. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so you might
Yeah,
want to look into that. Yeah, it's basically just you got the electrode for the stick that does the welding, and then the other clamp is actually the ground. So when that
yeah.
stick hits the metal, it completes the circuit, and that's when you get the arc, right?
Okay.
So basically, you just take both the connectors and whatever you want to energize. But don't forget, when you hit it with that amount of power, you're going to get a huge spark. Like
Yeah.
that's instant load. Like you're doing like a dead short, right?
Uh,
So I would yeah, that's a lot of power, man, and you gotta be very, very careful with this stuff. This is like life threatening stuff. You don't want to make a mistake. So
um, but can you just are there like crocodile claws or something like that? You just
yeah,
hook
they're
up.
clamps. They're
Yeah,
clamps. Yeah, yeah.
but you can just hook up them first, then you turn on the power.
You probably could do that, but I'm not sure. You know, it's a instantaneous power. Like it's there right away. Like it is
Mhm.
on and it's on hard. That's why you
It's
get
like
such a spark. Like
it's like a capacitor that does that.
yeah, it's well they got a high voltage transformer, and I imagine they got some capacitor banks in there too. Like if you charge enough big capacitor banks, you can
Yeah,
arc weld with it. It has enough amps to do it. Like you could get the Maxwell ones. They're like 6, 8 inches long, and they're about 2.5 inch diameter. They're quite big, and those things
yeah,
they could deliver 5 to 800 amps, no problem. And that's like lethal power. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely
Okay,
take
but
precaution.
I'm not gonna handle it anymore. It's a professional in a laboratory. They're gonna handle it from
Yeah,
now on.
they might have
But
an entirely different system on doing that, you know. But yeah, an arc welder definitely would deliver the amps if that's what you're looking for is high current. Yeah, it's probably the way to
yeah,
go. Yeah.
yeah, cool. And other than that, remember the formula for the nuclear
Right, right.
energy
Yeah, yeah.
I
You were
was
talking
doing.
about that.
Yeah. Actually, it would be cool to join forces at some point. You know,
Hey guys.
Hey,
I generate.
how's it going?
Hey, Mike. I generate nuclear energy, and you generate like electric energy, like 0 point energy or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, just thought
Well,
that would.
yeah, they have the what do they call it? It's the cold fusion device. It's on the tip of my tongue. I was talking about it a couple months ago. Uh, oh, it'll come to me in a few minutes. But anyways, these guys are making these reactors based on Fleischmann and Pons. Um, you know, what do you call cold fusion device? But the problem was back then they were looking for like radiation. They had Geiger counters around, but they
Yeah.
didn't realize the arcs because they were using tungsten steel, and I believe it was titanium. I know tungsten was one of them, and the other one was it might have been palladium. Well, they were using those as the electrodes inside the tube where the water is, where the fusion's happening. They're looking for radiation, but they didn't realize it was giving off a huge amount of X-rays.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, at that time, they didn't know this. So they were getting blasted by X-rays. So, to make a long story short, those guys are dead now. I think both of them died from cancer. Now,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were probably getting way too much exposure to it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, Moxie generator. That's it. The David Schwartz, I believe his name is, and he's in the U.S. and he's building these little Moxie generators, basically a spin-off of Fleischmann and Pons' original, experiments back in '92. Uh, he's made a new device, but it also has to be encased in a lead shielding to protect you from the X-rays. So
Yeah.
there's several ways you can use the device. They were doing transmutation. They're actually changing matter into gold. Uh, they were also making energy, excessive energy coming out. So it was an over unity device. It all depended what the anode and cathode were that were being put into the chamber. So yeah, some of the effects were they were actually transmuting. I think it was palladium and titanium or something like that. I forget which one it was. It was actually creating gold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
apparently, David Schwartz, he was had an interview with one other podcaster, and he was saying that there are quite a few European nations actually working on this. They're actually synthesizing their own gold
Yeah.
and making a lot of it. So that would really offset the balance of the stock market because now you're making gold,
Yeah, but in my case, I don't need radioactive elements. I
right?
can do it without it. So
But
I
as
can.
far as energy is concerned, yeah, you're getting a net output of energy with the Moxie generator, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they were trying to prove in 1992 with Fleischmann and Pons. And then the other guy that came out, not Martin Fleischmann, what was his name? He worked at MIT, and basically they were saying that the results were getting fudged by the academia. They had the original results, which was showing over unity, and then 2 days later they would get other academics in the same wing do an assessment of the findings and saying no, this is not possible. So they would fudge the numbers and saying it wasn't making over unity.
Oh yeah.
So it was like a smear campaign done by MIT.
Yeah.
So that
Typical.
created a whole shitstorm, and a lot
Yeah.
of academia in the U.S. that wouldn't even want to even touch it because of risking the reputation of the university or the institution.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. They just want to keep their hands clean of it. They didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem. So basically, Fleischmann Pond said, "Screw it." They buggered off to France and they opened up a new research facility in France, South France, and eventually, the first guy passed away. I think it was Pons. I think passed away first. Can't remember who it
Yeah.
was. Um, but yeah, kind of a sad story. Those guys kind of really got the ringer, so to speak. Unfortunately, the
Yeah.
not a very good ending. But there's people out there replicating their experiments and getting positive results. David Schwartz, he's one of them. He's making those Moxie generators. So if you want to check that out on Google, you can type in Moxie generator, cold fusion generator.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe David Schwartz is selling these devices. He's made small versions of them,
Yeah.
and yeah, so yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's addictive, because I'm just done with almost done with the anti gravity, and now I've got this nuclear energy stuff, and now
Yeah,
you just talk about gold, so it rings me a bell. Wow, why don't I focus on creating gold?
transmute, yeah, transmutation and stuff. Yeah. But I think they're all related though, because it's all energy based. Anti
Yeah,
gravity, free energy, transmutation, and alchemy. It's all related. They're all joined together in the same science. It's just one. You do something one way, you'll get one effect, and then if you do another effect, it might give you an anti gravity effect or a time shifting effect. They're
yeah,
all in the
exactly.
same. They're all in the same little ring of
Yeah.
things going on.
The only thing you have to tell yourself is that it's not as hard as the mainstream may wants you to think it is, and you know people, man, they try to make you believe, Einstein's general relativity, you need to have 3 PhDs to understand that, and blah blah blah. But it's not that complicated once you understand.
It's the
Yeah,
terminology that confuses everybody.
yeah. Well, of
Yeah,
course, that's what it's meant to do, and that's why the average person can't go in and challenge these guys in academia because
You,
it's like a
you
religion. They
hear
study it,
you hear
right?
words like vectors all over the place. Vector, vector. A vector is
Yeah,
an angle.
yeah,
So degrees.
yeah.
A lot of people
Vector.
don't. They get confused by that. I did.
Yeah, most of them. I think everybody has been confused by the terminology. Like I'm not like a university graduate. I don't have my engineering in electronics or electrical. This is all stuff I've kind of like learned on my own over the years, right?
I think they upgrade the terminology because they're trying to more accurately describe. So like vector, it's a little bit more involved than just angle
Yeah,
or degrees.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, like they're renaming stuff, like so many things that they've renamed over the years. Like a perfect example, UFO. Well, now they call it UAP.
why are they doing that?
Why is that? Exactly. Why?
Is
Yeah,
that
I think that's just totally, completely ridiculous.
I mean, I
I
think a
still, I,
a
I still
vector
call
is a
them
3 degree
UFOs.
angle, a 3 dimensional angle. No,
Yeah, but I just, how academia tries to relabel things with new names to make it sound more current. I think it's just a lot of it. I think is really a load. you know,
maybe they're trying to create because the academia all they care about is getting grants, so maybe they're trying to create a new trend or things like that, so they can it's a new field, a new area, and people are gonna invest more, because it's new, something like
yeah.
that.
Well, they're like trying to rehash old things, right?
Yeah,
Rehash. UFO is getting old, so now we got to call it a UAP. Like
yeah.
like
Huh.
It sounds so absurd, right? When you
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah,
But they like to do that though. Then that's like academia trying to make reassure themselves that we're intellectually superior to everybody else that's on the planet. You know, when
yeah.
I think that's almost completely a farce. Completely. Like
What really annoys me is the Perimeter Institute and the Kavli Institute and these institutes. Okay, they're the top brains of the world. They were there, but I did send them my theory at some point, and nobody replied. I even called them and the
because they
perimeter.
don't because they don't know what to do with it. They have no idea. They're thinking always within a box. This
Yeah,
is what they've taught you to learn, and this is what
exactly.
they taught you to ultimately know in the end. So when
Yeah,
you come with an idea or a concept that's completely outside of that box, they're lost. They're lost. They have no idea.
yeah, yeah. Thanks
They
for
they they don't want to kind of look beyond the paradigm,
yeah.
of regular mainstream science because
I
honestly, I
think
think
it's more like if they can't understand it, it doesn't work.
that's right. That's part of the ignorance of
They're not going to even look into it. If they can't understand it, they already know. They already said in
exactly.
their head, it
They
doesn't work.
academia. They think they know it all. They know science. They know how the universe works. They know what God is and everything. They think they know everything. But I'm sorry to totally destroy their ego. They know friggin' nothing. They really do
Yeah,
because they've they it's like a cult,
yeah, exactly.
a cult of science. Do you want to
Hey,
be
Mike, I was
part?
watching that vacuum triode
Oh yeah,
explanation, and
it's an
I saw
electrode.
this video yesterday on these rocks out of Africa.
Yep, they glow light.
No, they power light bulbs and stuff. They're like self-resonating magnets.
Oh, whereabouts are they coming from? South America
Somewhere
or
in South Africa or something.
South Africa? Do you know the name of the rock it is?
It's like a black rock,
It's not
like
volcanic,
probably
is it?
magnetite of some kind.
Try to dig that up. That's very interesting. If you find that,
I lost track. I just saw a video. I didn't like jot it down or nothing. But
see if you
and
can
then I
dig.
saw the video on the vacuum triode amplifier, and there's this point where Bedini's talking about
He says it's an electron.
how Floyd was heating up the magnet and then pulsing it at a certain cool down area
Yeah,
and getting the magnet to self resonate.
right.
And then
Exactly.
and yesterday I saw this video about these African rocks that are powering light bulbs and LEDs,
Yeah, you gotta find. I gotta dig into that
and they're
too
black
because
rocks.
yeah,
Magnetite is black, isn't it?
yeah. It's
Iron. The iron is
I
black, dark black.
yeah. I'm wondering if there's like it's
They're
an
just
iron
iron
ore.
rocks that have been polarized in the right way to create probably a monopole on one side or something like that.
Yeah, in order to create a self oscillation. I think
So
that's like
not just an oscillation, but a flow. If you get a monopole on a rock, it's
right.
going to flow. There's going to be flow on it now.
Yeah, so if there's movement of the field, it's like say like a magnet. When you got a permanent magnet, you have the lines of field lines going around the magnet, but they're static. They're not in motion. But if you can find a material that has that same property, but the field is in motion, that's what you're looking for, right?
Like lead skeleton's perpetual PMH.
That's right. So I imagine there are probably some materials out there that you know they're like a
Well, a
magnet,
magnet is
but
a PMH, though. It's the same thing.
yeah, they're like a magnet, but they're not static. They're kinetic. They're in movement,
That's a good way of putting it
right? And if you
because it's
could get
moving.
that, then you got a
Wait. You're saying a
self-oscillating.
magnet isn't moving and it
Well,
floats?
the lines of force they're static, right? Now,
In a
if you
magnet,
put in a magnet, like you
and
take a
they're not
now
static. A PMH.
the PMH, no, that's static.
Oh, so they're both static.
Yeah, they're
What's
both
not
static.
static?
What's not static is kinetic. It's in motion. There's a constant motion, right? So when you're looking at the PMH,
You mean the lines of force are not in the same position? They're moving around.
Yeah, they're
Because
moving around.
in those lines of force, there's the flow going on.
Well,
Vibration.
well, you have to disturb it. All right. So if you have something oscillating beside it, you can get those lines of force into motion, and,
Right, because he
and
had that.
essentially, that's how a motor
that razor
works.
shaver on top of the magnet that he had it leaning.
Oh, what on the Floyd Sweet device?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it oscillating. So
Yeah, that just
basically,
so you can see when the lines of force were wobbling.
right. Now, apparently, it didn't take any power from an outside source,
What are you doing?
right?
You're gonna.
What's going on? What's that, Mike?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What happened?
No, my dog was about to
Oh,
pull my wires from the computer.
oh, I thought he was going to bite you or something. But yeah, like if you can find out what that rock is, so it's some kind of magnetite. See, if it's a self-resonating or self-oscillating um, magnet, well, that's kind of a holy grail for a free energy device. Because most magnets, like, have you ever made a Faraday motor before, where you get the one wire and it's looped around
I guess
like
a
that?
self-oscillating magnet would be where the magnetic fields on the magnet keep reversing.
Or yeah, they just oscillate.
They
They're
keep inverting. You mean they're inverting because a regular magnet, the fields don't invert. They're just
no,
one side or the other.
they're static. They don't move.
So you're saying that an self-oscillating magnet or magnetic field would basically the north and south fields would switch positions back and forth.
Switch positions or change their telemetry. They would like vibrate. Really, is what it is.
Which
The
is
field,
technically switching their poles back.
probably, yeah, probably. I would say that's right. Yeah. So yeah, if you can
Their
find
poles are flipping back and forth on their own.
yeah. So if that's the case, you find this material
What
and
would
it
cause
has
that? A monopole? No, right?
it could be.
I
It
don't
could
know.
be.
How would a monopole do that?
You know what? I think it would have to be some kind of energy source within the magnet itself.
There must be a flyback event going on in it.
I
Where
honestly,
it's switching. Maybe the
I
rock has a relay in there somewhere. Natural relay, natural switch.
yeah, a natural relay or some kind of like diode, right?
Where
Keeping
it's
the
switching, not just
so
dioting, but
like
switching.
it keeps the magnetic field from not staying in equilibrium. It's out of equilibrium. So therefore, you got this wave action going, kind
Yeah,
of
you
like
don't
that,
have to switch for that, right?
right? So if it's a non-equilibrium in the magnetic field, well,
No switch is required there.
it will cause it, to create a wave like a sine wave type thing.
Oscillation.
Yeah, an oscillation, right? So
Instead of a pulse, an oscillation, right?
apparently that's what Floyd Sweet was able to achieve with his magnets. He would heat them up, and then he would condition the magnets in a giant coil he made. It was like a tube, and he would drop the magnets inside, okay, and then he would put a charge on them for, I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes. And then he would pull the magnet out, set it up on top, and you get the razor blade, and you drop the razor blade on top of the magnet. And instead of the magnet just sticking straight up because of the magnetic field, it will start to wobble like this
Right.
on its own, right? So that's part of his secret, being able to make a magnet oscillate. And if it goes into self oscillation, well, basically all you need is a coil around it, right? And then you can pick up that change in the flux or the magnetic field inside the coil, and then you got power. So
It's so funny because I had a similar idea to achieve the same effect of wrapping a coil around a magnet, pulsing the coil to cancel the magnetic field, and then removing the energy to allow the magnetic field from the magnet to return.
yeah, you can, but the point is not trying to put any power into it to begin with. If the magnet's oscillating and it's changing the magnetic flux through that inductor or coil,
because he had the trigger winding vertical lining up with the field lines.
Yeah, the trigger wire was up and down,
And
and
the
the pickup.
stator winding was horizontal.
That's right. Now he had one magnet on top and one magnet on bottom, and it was
So
a
he had the
traction
field.
mode.
He had the field lines triggering something. Well, was there a transistor in the device?
Nope. As far as I know, there wasn't.
Why was he? What did he have a trigger winding for then?
Well, the trigger was to put in the. See, he was putting a milliwatt in.
A primer coil?
No, he was putting it at 60 hertz.
Oh,
He was just trying to get that oscillation into
why?
60
Just to see if
hertz.
he can get power on regular devices or whatever.
Well, he was putting in about less than a quarter of a milliwatt in, and his first device he was getting about 500 watts coming out
Well,
of the
was
box.
he putting that in the trigger winding?
Yeah, he was just putting
that
on
was his
the.
tickler.
Yeah, it was 27 volts at, I forget what the current was, but it was like 0.04 milliwatts of power
In the trigger winding.
in the trigger, and that was
the
it.
stator was just collecting.
Yeah, it was just collecting the oscillation that was rebounding off the magnet, right?
Wait, he was like sort of using the trigger winding to push.
Yeah, he was creating the pull. He was creating the
fields from the magnets onto the stator.
Right. Yeah, he's trying to create
using the magnetic field from the trigger winding to push the fields from the magnets over onto the arms of the stator.
Right, and also creating a displacement current, right?
Because Bedini drew that figure 8 slightly tilted.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. Well, Bedini replicated his device, and
that would land the field over the arms of the stator. That figure 8 slightly tilted.
Yeah. We got Daryl done.
Hey, everybody.
North and south.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
Awesome. Speaking of replicas, did you see my Thane Hine video?
Yes, I did. That was really well done.
This afternoon?
No, I haven't. I was at work all day today. I didn't get home till like almost 5.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah,
I didn't get a lot done to show off tonight because of that. I've been working all week on the kitchen and doing a few other things around the house. So,
yeah, I started the new job this week, so I kind of been consumed with that all week, getting back used to the being a working citizen again.
No, I hear that. I had to open a small rental.
A honest taxpayer.
That's right. I gotta pay back. I gotta pay back all that EI I used up, right?
There you go. Yeah, I had to open a small reno company just to make money myself. Plus, I do catering on the side. So
yeah.
My new order just came in. I'm not going to say what it is. I had mentioned it off screen that one time. So it just came in. It cost me $5,000. And,
right. Yes. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And it should be ready by next week for the big unveil. Hopefully. Yeah. If not, it'll be ready by the presentation on July 7th for sure.
Yeah. Right on.
So that's the goal anyway.
Yeah. Right on.
So how's everybody doing? Because I missed the first half hour. I had to kind of.
Yeah, we're just kind of catching up on our week, and well, actually, Philip's on the road right now. You're in a hotel, I take it, right, Philip?
Yeah, I'm at a relative's house right now.
Oh, relative's house. Okay, even better. Save you money.
I'm from here.
I actually took a trip down one year to Ottawa, and then from Ottawa we went into Gatineau for a little bit, and then from there we drove to Montreal. And then from Montreal all the way back to Toronto. So it was
you live like in Toronto, or?
I live west of Toronto, so I'm basically like beside Hamilton, basically.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm north. I'm northeast of Hamilton, so.
Because I used to live in London for a bit.
Okay, yeah, that's about an hour's drive from me.
Yeah. Yeah, I really loved it over there. It's really cool. Yeah, I had some friends. Yeah.
Sometime this summer when I do my road trip, I'm headed out towards Toronto, and I'll definitely come to see you, Mike. And
yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna get to know my French friend Philip, but we will see. Huh?
Hey,
But
If I maybe we'll contact you and we'll get together.
It's a long walk.
yeah, but
It's a
Montreal
long
is a
walk.
little bit better than
do they
Gatineau.
really pronounce a boot when they talk about electricity? Do they do it like that? A boot?
A boot.
How about you, Dave?
The accents, you know what? It's hard to get unless you've spoken French. Like
You ever
Yeah.
seen South Park?
Yeah, South Park. Yeah.
I got used to
You think
speak
about-
French when I was a wee little boy, huh? But now I do not. I lost it. I'll be honest with you. After my car accident, I lost a lot of French. I can't form the word. Well,
We don't pronounce the H's, that much because it's in French. It's silent.
yeah,
And
Well, here's a little thing for you, Phil. My father was born in Val d'Or.
oh yeah,
Yep, he was born there. His
and
father was
that's
he was born in Val d'Or, Quebec, right by the air base there. It was a mining town, gold mines.
okay,
So my dad's father was a miner back in the 1920s,
okay.
oh wow.
and then when he moved to Toronto, that's when my dad was born in Toronto.
Back when it was
Sorry,
affordable
he
to-
was born in Quebec. Sorry, he was born in
Yeah.
Quebec, and then they moved to Toronto, and then his brothers and sisters were born there. Actually, his
Right.
sister was born in Hamilton,
Right.
and his other brother was born in Toronto. So
Okay.
he was the only one that was born in Quebec. So
Yeah, it's like the defenseman of the Oilers, Bouchard.
yeah,
You know
Bouchard. Yeah,
Bouchard. He's from London,
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, he's probably his dad is probably somebody from Quebec, I guess, that moved there.
Mhm.
But that's my guess. I didn't check, but
Yeah, I guess the furthest I've been out is like Gatineau and Montreal. I haven't been to Quebec City, so
This is
yeah.
starting to sound more and more like the French Connection going on here.
yeah. And I'm not even close to
Good
French.
movie.
No, but Montreal, everybody
Yeah.
speaks English over there, so you're not getting.
Well, it depends where you are. If you're in the downtown, I've been like in the right downtown, right. I'm trying to remember the name of the hotel. It's right in the downtown core of Montreal. And like if you go one street, you'll go to a store and they speak English, no problem. Then you go one block to the east or west, and then I say hello, and they look at me like I'm, from a different planet because it's all French, right?
Yeah. Bonjour, bonjour.
And they know right away. They know right away. Oh, he's got to be from Toronto, right?
Yeah,
Bonjour,
but
bonjour.
most I live downtown, right next to the convention center.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I go to a restaurant and they talk to me in English first most of the time. So especially if I go to a rich place, either they speak to me in English or French from France.
Oh, okay. But that's a different French, though, right?
Yeah, well, they have a different accent, but
Yeah, the dialect or
I'm
whatever.
just saying that when you go to a rich place, it's not French Canadian anymore. It's anything but French Canadian. So that means we're just French Canadian or just
Yeah.
peasants. Peasants.
Peons.
French American.
It's a dying breed. Definitely a dying breed.
Yeah, but it's good to be bilingual, though, right? Yeah, it comes in handy, so you can go anywhere in Canada, and
Apparently, you're a better problem solver when you're bilingual. It doesn't matter which language, but it helps your brain problem solve. Apparently.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like my daughter, she's doing like French immersion, right? So she's doing half day English and half day French kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's smart.
yeah,
I can probably speak enough French and understand enough French to get around,
I know
but
all
I
the bad
still look
words.
stupid here and there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I've lost a lot, but I used to do the French immersion thing too.
French is easy to learn. I started learning it like 3 times every time I went there.
some people find it really easy to learn. Me, I had
Well, you got
difficulty.
to be there to learn it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well,
Then it's
yeah,
easy.
it's easy to learn, just like Spanish a little bit, but when
You
you
forget it
just
quick
go
too,
to
though.
writing it without doing mistakes, it's a whole different story.
Yeah,
I just had the passing grade in all my classes in French, and just to give you an idea, and I'm French, so yeah, it's pretty,
Cosify.
yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Italian.
Do you guys remember the brain hack I brought up about learning a different language while you're asleep? You play
I
the
know.
language and the learning of the opposite, right? So I've
right,
got like 8 hours of Japanese, and I
right.
play that at night,
Yeah,
and
when you
I know
sleep.
Japanese without knowing what I know, because it implants in your subconscious and you run it
That's
over and
right.
over. And
You're
after 3 weeks, you literally can speak another language.
yeah,
It's almost like a brain hack. It's really
yeah,
amazing.
it's they call it theta. Like just before you get into the sleep state, it's called theta. That's where basically it's like the hard drive of your brain where you can actually retain stuff
Yeah,
in
it's like a
your brain.
download.
Yeah, it's like a download. So yeah, you got to go
But,
from
but,
yeah, from
Anyone
but
who's
when
theta.
listening
you
to the radio while asleep
Yeah,
knows that that works, because you'll be in the middle of the day, or the song will come on and you'll be singing to it. You know every word, and you're like,
yeah,
"How the hell do I know that?"
yeah.
Well,
How
you
do I
listened
know the
to it three
words? Yeah,
times last night, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
And I would like put on like a lecture
Voulez-vous
from
coucher avec moi?
like I would put like a lecture on from like say Eric Dollard, and I would put that in my ear and put my earbud on and listen to his lecture and just kind of drift off to sleep, right? And then that's why I'm able to remember so much of his work and a lot of his theories and stuff is just because I listen to a lot of his lectures. So most of the time I'll listen to him at night just before I fall asleep. So
awesome. That's an
yeah,
awesome brain hack. Yeah.
the problem with me is every time I go to sleep is I fall into deep sleep mode
you're
after
like
2 seconds.
dead. You're like dead, like in a coma. See
Yeah.
that? See that's telling you you're overworked. You're overworked. You
Yeah.
gotta back off a little bit. And,
Yeah.
you know,
But
uh,
you give me a new idea in my head. Now I gotta create that goal, man.
yeah.
The goal.
Oh yeah, with the Moxie generator. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got this in my head and in the back of my head.
Remember we were talking about that, Gerald, about the Moxie generator there, probably like a month ago. We were talking about it.
Yeah, I downloaded the PDF on the patent, and
Yeah.
I
The
looked up the guy who made it, and I watched an hour-long interview with him and
yeah,
stuff.
David Schwartz, right?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, if the Moxie's legit, and it does sound like it, the stuff you can do with that is amazing. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is because basically it's a replication of Fleischmann and Pond's their cold fusion device from the early 90s, right? But he's made it into a real workable device, and we're talking about it was giving off some pretty bad X-rays,
Yeah.
and I think that's why they were getting sick, those two, after they were working with that stuff, because they're looking for radiation, but they didn't realize they're getting blasted with X-rays. So
Yeah.
when
It
you
definitely has to be shielded,
yeah, you got to put lead shielding on it for sure. Yeah, it's
or
got
borax. I kind of wonder if borax would help, because it shields a lot of radiation. Like, I think it shields
borax does.
alpha.
Really,
Yeah.
I
It
never
was
knew that.
something that was brought up on one of the
Yeah,
lives
I
with
heard that too.
Jeremiah and Jeremy
Borax,
Reese.
I heard that
So,
too.
really?
yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Water does too.
How do you test that though?
Buy boxes of borax and you put it around your device, and you use
Yeah,
It also
a
causes sterility.
but what would you?
tri-field meter to pick up your EMF or your magnetic field, or even your radio frequency field.
Temporary.
So that,
I don't know. I would probably just stick with the lead. I think that would probably be the safest thing
yeah,
to
but
do.
lead's
That's
expensive, and
toxic,
you
man.
get lead poisoning. And I mean, I don't know. Hey, try everything. Try it once anyway.
Exactly. You guys just carry on. I'm just gonna slip out for a quick smoke, and I'll be right back.
Hey, Mike, play that share screen there.
Okay.
Hello, Lulu.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Lulu.
Hi, Lulu.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, great
coil
inventors.
now. And you can see. Do you see how it's making a ball?
Yeah.
To force the flux on the inside of the rotor.
That's a crazy cool
The
video.
outside of the rotor was
Did you see
nothing.
this?
Yeah.
And that forces
Yeah.
all the torque into
You
the
click
middle
on
of the
it.
rotor where you want it.
What
You
is
don't
it
want it on the outside,
doing?
you know. So anyway, so
He's
this is just a
creating
DC
a magnetic
power
field
supply
that
if you want to get that on the camera.
it's a sphere in the
It's set
center
for
of those
16
two
volts.
imploding coils.
It does a max of
Actually, yeah, the link's in the
2.5
credits.
amp or 3 amp actually. 0 to 50 volt. And all I'm gonna do really here.
What was it? It's a light.
So when I turn the power on,
Retraction,
you see the voltage
north and
drops
south in the middle?
immediately. So we're only putting a half volt through, but we got 2
I
amps.
believe so. I've only seen the
2.5.
video once. I haven't
And
quite
that means that
studied it, if
amperes
you know
are
what I mean.
flowing if they flow. I'm not saying they do, but if they flow, they're flowing through that
Yeah, rewind.
coil now. And you can see in a Tesla bifilar. So in essence, if you follow
this has been studied, the myopic view of their contemporaries. And he mentions Walter Russell, Nikola Tesla, John Keeley, and many, many more. Regarding your list of people who have made brave sacrifices, I note that to be a of results, the reproducibility of results.
So the coils are wound in a Tesla bifilar. So in essence, if you follow the positive goes into the tip, it winds all the way through, but then it comes out and it doubles back in and wind, and then comes out negative either side. So that's what these are. If you're wondering what these sticking wires are out here,
Okay.
it's the loop back in so that it doubles back, and it's now you got twice the number of turns.
Right.
By just having it loop back and double back around again. And he patented that in the 1800s. It's really old. Why aren't we using it though? It's funny. So anyway, but you can do this with beside all that, you can do this with just a normal solenoid, straight, just number of turns,
Okay.
right? And they're wired in a mirror image fashion. So the positive split
Both
go two
clockwise,
ways.
but because they're opposing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They're opposing.
So it's pretty simple. What we have here is an electromagnet, but a pair of them.
So
Right.
the fields are facing
Creating
each
a
other.
pair of magnetic fields. Now, what you'll notice though is that these cones are not straight bars. They're not cylindrical solenoids.
Right.
Because a cylindrical solenoid either pulls in or shoots out like a railgun. Right?
Yep.
With these though, we actually have, and I'll show you after we do this, I'll show you that these magnetic fields are lopsided because the north end is contracted and the south end is expanded. And so I now have a differential magnet where the North Pole is stronger than the South Pole, which is weaker, and so on and so forth. So why science wouldn't be interested in that is baffling to me, because now we can make, in an MRI, for example, we can make Tesla's strength's magnetic field, but we can make the outside pole very, very weak.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the outside and everything's concentrated on the inside. Same for a motor. I saw a patent guy was trying to put Hallback arrays to force the flux on the inside of the rotor.
Right.
The outside of the rotor was nothing.
Yeah.
And that forces all the torque into the middle of the motor where you want it. You don't want it on the outside, you know?
Right.
So anyway, so this is just a DC power supply if you want to get that on the camera.
Ultimately, that's
it's set for 16 volts. It does a max of 2.5 amp or 3 amp actually, 0 to 50 volt. And all I'm gonna do really here is, so when I turn the power on, you see the voltage drops immediately. So we're only putting a half volt through it, but we got 2 amps, 2.5. And that means that amperes are flowing if they flow. Right. I'm not saying they do, but if they flow, they're flowing
I'm
through
with this
that
guy on that
coil now. And you can see, do you see how it's making a ball? It's making a sphere. And actually, even if I touch it, right, it still wants to form that spherical pressure gradient, as Russell called it.
Can you add a little more just to show how it will go to the spherical?
Yeah, it always wants to go, not toward the top of the thing.
Right.
It's bulging in the middle, which is Walter called oblation.
Because I'm going to show this to some flat earthers, and I don't want them to think that when you touched it with your hand that's actually proves that the earth is flat.
Yeah, and the other thing is I can run this experiment vertically and it still makes a sphere. So no matter your axis, if the axis goes in that direction or if the axis goes in that direction, it still makes a sphere, because the equator of a conical magnet is not a straight line. It's a curved equipotential gradient, and we're creating it on both sides. So it's like focusing two convex lenses at each other. You create a spherical gradient.
If they're a flat bar, you have this kind of rounded, and as you shape it, it comes together as a sphere between them.
Yep. So just to prove the point that it's the electricity creating the field, if I turn the power off in 3, 2, 1, you can see that the filings are no longer suspended, and we're back to 16 volts.
Yep.
So there's no current flow now. And you can see how, if you zoom in, do you see how there's some residual magnetism? That's because of the compression. If I were to magnetize this end, there's absolutely no residual. So there's even now flux residual magnetism in the core, but only at one end of the magnet, not at the other.
That's what concentration is.
Because of this compression effect. And Walter said we only ever create energy by compressing from the outside in, like you pump air into your tire. You can't actually have in this universe a force of attraction that pulls from within the center, as Newton described in his concept.
Yeah, I'm with him on that one.
You know, the conical coil, he was saying that the field on if it's a magnet, the side where the cone is pointy is the strongest field, but it's much smaller field. It's compressed, but it's the strongest field. And then the other side is weak, the south side. So
guys, sorry to jump in. Sorry, Gerald. After the show tonight, can you guys just stay on for a couple minutes? I got to talk with you guys something offline. If you can do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Gerald, my channel is now monetized. So if everybody goes to Faraday Research, you'll see that my channel has been monetized. I don't know how the hell it happened, but it did. So I actually yeah, so I got to join. I think it starts like $3.99 a month or whatever. And some of my videos I'll put on for a little bit, and then I'll put it into the monetized section. So you have to be a member to see some of the videos. But there's don't worry, there's going to still be a lot of free stuff that I'll put out there. But some stuff will get monetized. So you'll have to be a member or be a Patreon. So yeah, a kind of cool thing that happened. Yeah, so I got monetized. Don't know how I did it, but I got monetized. I got the invite this week, so I applied for it, and they approved it right away. And yeah, so.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. I watched my subscriptions go up to $6.39, and then I literally in real time watched them go back
disappear.
So, congratulations. If you can make it work,
you know what that means? It means you can get super chats now.
Exactly.
It's funny that all the conspiracies we're talking about.
I think you need 1,000 or something like that subscribers, or maybe 2,000.
You know what? Don't kid yourself. I love YouTube. It's an awesome platform. I never got onto YouTube to make money. So if there's an algorithm messing with me or I'm just bad luck, whatever, I don't care. I do it for the people. I hope that somebody learns something from what I'm doing and that they can take it and put it into their stuff. Just like you said on the last live with Ashton Forbes, it's the same idea. If you can learn anything from me and take it and move forward, then
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
about money. But
And
hey, if
yeah,
money comes, great. If it doesn't, that's great too.
yeah, like any little penny helps me get the parts I need to make
So
the
you know,
stuff,
I'm
right?
I'm signed up yearly
Yeah,
with
I built
Patreon,
something
Mike.
on the
Yeah.
outside that has nothing to do
Thanks,
with
Mikey.
it. That's why I don't care
I
about
think I
you.
got the
I mean,
basic
I
plan though.
do, but you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's levels.
No, but
or
it's not like how much people invest. It's That's not the point. It's just you know like I said, every little penny helps me get components I need to make the stuff I make, right? Because it gets kind of costly after a while, right? Like I wouldn't have been able to get that beautiful printer I got without my Patreons. Like it would be totally impossible. It's
Absolutely.
it's a
Gotta
thousand.
thank your Patreons, man.
Of
That's
course,
awesome.
of course, and they know that, right? Like without a 3D printer, I can't do a lot of the stuff I want to do. And I can make any part I desire, just go on the computer and make it in Fusion. And within a few hours, I could have a part ready to go to, make my device. Like that's powerful that you can rapid prototype stuff.
Well, I just spent a whole bunch of money on the kitchen in my house, but
Yeah.
next month I want to buy that very same printer, so I'm gonna pick your brain.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
good. It's excellent printer. Like I started building 3D printers, like actually making rip wraps back in 2012. Yeah, it was right around when my daughter was born. I made my first printer, and I had to put the firmware in it. I had to bootstrap it. I had to get the software online and actually upload the software to actually run the printer. So, like, I was doing some pretty complicated stuff there for a little while. And yeah, well, it's come a long way in 14 years, 12, 14 years. The printers
It's
have
dummy proof now, eh?
it's getting to that. You still have to know how to do it, right? But for a new user to learn it, yeah, it's a lot easier than it was back in the early days of the rip wraps. But
Good, because
definitely,
I fall under one of the dummy categories when it comes to certain tech, so I'm glad it's a little easier at
well,
least.
know what's great about it is the type of materials they have now. They got PEG, they got PLA, they have nylon, they have carbon fiber. There's so many different materials that you can actually print with now. Conductive materials you can actually print now. Simulated iron, aluminum, steel, copper, bronze. You
And you
name
can
it.
do that
Like
with your printer?
yeah, because I got the metal hot end. My printer comes with two hot ends. You have
Yeah.
to swap them out. So if I wanted to do carbon fiber, I would switch from the copper hot end, and I got a steel one that could actually handle abrasives because the carbon fiber is pretty gritty and it could actually destroy the nozzle on the printer. So the metal one can handle the abrasive type composites.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I got a roll of it in my cubby in the back there, and it's like $100 a roll. It's not cheap, and it's carbon fiber conductive.
Worth
So
it though.
yeah, like
Like the printer takes multiple filaments.
yeah, yeah. You can print plastics, a whole bunch of different styrene
Uh,
plastics, PLA,
have
um,
you have you ever
ABS.
have you ever print transparent stuff, something you can see through?
Transparent? Yeah, there are transparent filaments. They're not like glass, but yeah, there are definitely some that are opaque. Yeah, that
Okay.
light can get through. Yeah.
I hate to break in here, but I have to actually bail. I got something I got to deal with that just came up. It's not an emergency or whatever, but
Mm.
I got to deal with it before I crash, and it's going to take me an hour and a half. I got to get up at 5 for a contract doing a stew for a big business thing. So
All right.
I'm going to have to bail. I apologize to you, Mike and Phil and Lulu and everyone out there, but
Have a great
Yeah.
night.
I got to cut it short.
Just to make you happy before you leave, it's 3-0 now in Edmonton.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
could be the upset of the century.
Yeah.
It could be.
The turnaround of the century.
Yeah.
that cup is gonna go to them. No, oh, I don't know.
Looks like it.
You never know. There could be some kind of upset that happens just at the last few minutes. You never know.
Yeah, the probability was like 2% chances, and they managed to handle it well with their 2% chances.
Yeah.
It's all bought and paid for. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, I gotta go, guys. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Yep.
All right.
Have a great
Okay.
week.
Thanks,
See you,
Joe. Okay.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Good luck
Bye.
for tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Mike's back. What happened, Mike? You dropped off there or something?
Browser glitch.
The dog ate your wires again.
No.
It reminds me of like communication with overseas. Every time you ask like, why can't we? Oh, the shark ate the cable. I thought it was a joke for the longest time, like the shark ate the cable. But no, really, the sharks eat the cables that are like in the in the
Yeah, they
ocean.
do.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke when they said that, but no, really, like it happens.
Yeah. Yep. You should see what my chinchilla does to wires. Holy man. A little guy can chew.
Yeah. So don't put gold in your wires, or you're gonna get a different type of person stealing your wires.
Exactly. All right. So, Mike, you had something else you had on the screen there. You want me to add that to the stage?
Yeah, I need to make a core like that, or a tube
You got
that
this
I can
one
fill
here.
up with, BB pellets or low carbon iron
Yeah.
pellets.
It's I believe number 5 bird shot. What Paul Babcock was using.
Yeah,
Yeah, number
I
5.
want
See,
to.
the problem is I can't even buy that stuff here in Canada. I have
I
to
got a whole
have it.
bag of it.
Yeah, I gotta have an FAC in order to get this stuff. That's so freaking ridiculous. I don't even own a gun. You know what I mean? And they
What's an
won't even.
FAC?
It's called your small arms license, small arms fire license. So, yeah, you have to be registered before you even can own a gun or even get ammunition. And it's like I'm not even using it for that purpose. I'm using it for my science stuff, but I have to have an FAC, which is a crock. But that's the way it is in Canada. It's totally different in the US. You just go to the store and
I
buy
got a
it.
10-pound bag of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can make some kick-ass cores with that. So you take those beads and you put them in a box, spread them all out, and you take some like silicone spray and you spray them, and then shake them around, let them dry, spray them again so they get the spray all around all those little beads. And when they're all coated with the silicone, then you can put it into a form. And then you put epoxy, pour some beads in, put more epoxy, some more beads, just keep going until you got, the core size that you want.
I never did it like that. I just poured it in there with the epoxy. I figured the epoxy would isolate all the beads.
Yeah, they might be a little bit spread out too much, so you might want to do it in layers.
Right, I get you.
Yeah.
So it has to be insulated?
What are the beads made out of?
Number 5 birdshot. It's a very low carbon steel. So when you're pulsing an electromagnet,
like BB gun
yeah,
pellets.
right.
Oh, yeah, I know those.
But
Those are
but
like you could mold those with your hand. By the way, they're that soft. Like you could.
yeah, they're number 5, so they're rated a very low carbon metal.
I know what you're talking
So they're excellent for core material because when you charge them, they'll actually they'll make a magnetic field, but after you disconnect the electromagnet, it loses the field very quick, and that's what you want, a quick release of the field. If you use other metals, they tend to hold that magnetic field longer after you've shut it off. They're still magnetized. So the birdshot, they will actually release that magnetic field very quickly. That's why it's why Paul
Does it
Babcock was
melt?
using it.
Could it melt? Does it
Yeah.
have a
Oh
melting
yeah.
point?
Oh yeah. It's probably got a pretty low melting temperature. You could probably look it up. It's probably maybe around 800 degrees.
You can get a it's an iron smelting ladle. You hold it with your hand and you torch the bottom of it. It's like a spoon.
I've seen those, like for soldering, like when they want to connect two
Yeah.
wires. Yeah, I've seen that.
But yeah, the Birdshot number 5 seems to be the best. That's what Paul Babcock used in his motors. So the ability to lose the magnetic field in the core extremely quick is essential for the motor to work good, and that also helps eliminate the lens effect, right? Because if it's holding a magnetic field, when the magnet comes around, it's going to get attracted to it, right? You don't want that to
Yeah,
happen,
it's gonna grab back on the steel.
right? Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
he
even
talked
stronger.
about that. Yeah. But when you charge it, it's magnetized. It holds, it creates the field, right? It creates the induction. So yeah, it's very effective. Like I use welding rods, and they work just as good. Um, the only difference is because they're long, they're actually, I guess, creating the lines of force in a linear fashion. So I've used the welding rods. I've had pretty good luck with them as far as minimizing the amount of lens effect I get. So you could experiment with it and try it out.
I
I'll
took
cut.
those welding rods and I built them into a U to make a U core.
Yeah, you can do that. See, what I do with mine, I cut them to length, and then after I cut them to length, I wrap one layer of electrical tape on them. So when you stuff all the rods together, each and every rod is isolated from each other, right? And
They went
that
that
makes it
far?
more effective. What's that?
That's a lot of extra work.
It is a lot of extra work, but it does work. It works really well. And actually, Bedini used welding rods too in his, but he didn't. He didn't put tape
I didn't
around
think that
his.
mattered because it's copper coated.
Well, it depends what welding rod you use, right? Like I'm using the iron one that's used for arc welding. So, and even some of them come with, I believe, magnesium coating on it. So when you strike it, it creates a flame a lot faster. But that's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. Try to get the ones that don't have that coating on it. That's fine.
So what do you think of that core shape? It's like, I can't see it, but it's like 260 degrees.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it matter if, like, you're trying? It depends on the metal that you're trying to weld something on. So it would be always different for different metals.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, like, the metals that you're trying to weld together would
Right.
be always different. Like it's not always a set rule that this and this weld together. There's some things that weld together,
Yeah.
right?
They'll add other elements to the welding rod.
And
Um,
the gas that's being pumped matters as well, I think,
oh,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
okay.
creates what the melting point's going to be.
Okay.
Like say like welding aluminum, that is like completely different than regular welding. It's not easy.
Yeah, a lot of welders like to stay away from that.
Well,
I mean,
aluminum's not the
professional welders.
easiest thing. Yeah, if you know how to weld aluminum really good, you're a good welder because it is not easy. I know
I
a
got that
couple of
impression.
I know a couple of guys that are real professional welders, and they say, yeah, if you can master welding aluminum, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Like you mix argon and something else,
Yeah, argon.
oxygen.
Yeah. I'm not a pro on welding, so I'm kind of limited when it comes to welding.
No, I had a welder, a really cool welder in the past, so I got to learn all about it, and what it does, and it's an engine welder. It's not the one that you connect to the electricity. Yeah. But part of the cool things that it had, like the lenses, the ones that you use to when you turn on the welder, because it creates such a huge spark of light, so it
Yeah,
doesn't damage. Yeah, well,
it's about
that.
it's about 600 amps of current that goes through to make an arc welder work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, very good.
yeah, I haven't heard from Bernie tonight. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, by the way, I checked out the arc welders you talked about, and
Yeah,
there are some that can generate 1,000 amps.
there you go.
Is that possible? Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know the ones that at my work are 600 amps.
Yeah. Now we're talking the Power Wave ACDC 1,000 SD. That's apparently generates 1,000 amps.
Yeah,
So
yeah, high powered stuff.
yeah.
Actually, I was talking to one of the welders I used to work with, and he says you could actually get skin cancer from welding. That's why they wear all that protective covering, not just from
Oh,
the sparks flying off, but the actual light itself can actually give you skin cancer.
oh yeah.
Yep, that's why they wear a face mask and they wear all this leather gear on top of them. And he says, yeah, you expose your skin to that bright light for too long, yeah, you'll get skin cancer. Actually, he said he
Interesting.
knew a couple of guys that did get skin cancer because they weren't covering up enough, right? Like if anybody knows about welding, if you stand near one of those things, you can feel the radiation coming off it. Like you feel it. It's like standing in front of the sun, like really close. Like it's that intense of energy.
Yeah.
Is it actual radiation? It's being
Oh
pumped
yeah.
up.
Well, when you got an arc, 600 amps going making an arc, yeah, that gives off a lot of radiation coming off it.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of welders eventually they all go blind because you know even though that they got a proper mask on and visor, still that intense light for a long period of time is going to do damage to your eyes, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's another thing with high amps. That's where I was getting kind of worried working with the Don Smith stuff. I was working with the spark gap. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this thing's, I was working with 11 kilovolts. Yeah, it's low current, but it's still 11 kilovolts and it's making a spark, right? Okay, it's okay to use it for a short period of time, but if you're using it for long periods of time, I don't have any instruments to really tell me what kind of exposure I'm getting to. So that's why I don't really work with the Don Smith, um, radiant energy device as much as I did because I'm just worried about the exposure level, right? Once in a while is okay, fire it up and run a couple of tests with it, but for a prolonged period of time, I try not to.
See if you can get like the medical gear that they use for MRIs or X-rays, those
Yeah, like
lead
the
stuff.
the lead
Yeah,
vest or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
because I don't know what kind of if it's emitting beta or gamma or X-ray. I don't know what it's giving off. I don't. So yeah, some of the stuff you got to take care with, especially high energy stuff. You got to know what you're doing. Look at like Fleischmann and Punts. Yeah, they're looking for radiation. Meanwhile, they're getting blasted by X-rays. So and those guys are engineers too, right? So mistakes and accidents can still happen.
Like a two-layer, an RF and the lead, like a vest made with inner lead, outer RF, like that material. You know, so
Yeah,
it works on
it's the
it works
frequency.
on
Like
both.
yeah, like there's some frequencies that are good for the human body, and then there's other frequencies that are not good. There's good and bad. There's certain levels that your body will be okay with. Like say like cell phones, they like to run on the 900 megahertz frequency band. Well, that's not really a good frequency for your brain activity, right? It's actually kind of parasitic to your body. Actually, Eric Dollard, he had a really good interview he did, and he was talking about RF and how bad the cell phone, um, um, how bad the RF signals were and how damaging they can be. He says you might as well just stand on a battleship and have the radar just blast you in the face. And he did some tests for a guy, a pretty well-to-do guy, and the stuff was getting him sick, right? So he said he finally tracked Dollar down. He said, handed him $300 and said, "Just sit and listen to me for a few minutes. I'm going to tell you what's happening with me." And he goes, "Okay." And he's saying about all this RF that's hurting him. Like he was having like a burning sensation on his face and chronic headaches and all this stuff. So he goes, "Well, I'll flip the bill for all the equipment you need. Set up some kind of test rig where you can kind of test my sensitivity." So Eric agreed to it. He went to his house and somewhere in they have foothills of LA, I think. So he started doing these tests, and lo and behold, he started realizing that this guy was extremely sensitive to certain RF frequencies, and that would account to why he's feeling tired and chronic headaches, and he even said he had like this burning sensation on his face. So he did all these tests, and he basically turned out exactly what the guy was telling him was true, that this RF is hurting him. So, and after he found out the actual levels of RF that are coming just off a cell phone tower, he says it's 1,000 times the radiation coming off the tower than what is actually legally safe. And they're doing it every day, like the 5G. He says you might as well, like the second you open your front door, it's blasting you in the face. Well, it's going right through your house, actually. So in the end, he says, there's almost no way of getting rid of this. It's either you move very far away or you Faraday cage your whole house. So pretty interesting stuff. Got another video there.
I saw a video on your suggestion. I saw a video in your suggestion about John talking about World War III.
Oh, and where in the private?
Yeah, the one right there. Biden will drag us into World War III.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's doing a good job of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Apparently, they're saying now that Ukraine's actually losing the war. Now they're getting annihilated. Now they're sending in long-range missiles into Ukraine by the US.
But did you know that Russia is cannot be killed because we're still buying their oil.
Yeah, I don't know if we are, but I know Europe is.
Yeah, Europe and Biden is for sure. So he's giving back money to Russia and he's giving weapons to Ukraine. So what the hell?
Yeah.
It's never gonna end.
Yeah, and who's suffering the most? The people.
What do you think? Ukraine would have been gone by now.
Well, that's it too, right? Like you would think that and I think even Putin thought too that this would be like a 2-week operation. It would be done. Obviously, we're 2 years into the war already, and they're still
Communism
going
is
at
based on lies.
So is capitalism. But what's your point? You know what I mean?
There is no free market in communism.
Yeah. Well, right now I don't see freedom in any market because even the democratic system is severely.
Well, here's an example. In communism, if you quit your job, you're sent to jail.
Yeah.
And if you refuse to go to jail, you're executed. I don't know. If in the free market you can quit your job, and none of that happens.
Yeah, and you know what? This whole problem started back with J.P. Morgan when he started the fractional banking system.
You know,
That's where it all started. That's why we're in this situation.
if it wasn't for Burger King, McDonald's would rule the world, and they're getting close to it.
But
and then
yeah,
Wendy's is you know is there too. You know, and you got Arby's.
how about
They're
KFC?
competitors. Yeah,
How about
it would be
hey?
all.
Did you
It'd all
know?
be McDonald's.
Hey, did
if
you
it
know
weren't for
Colonel Sanders lived in Toronto for like 10 years?
Hmm.
Did you know that?
No,
Yeah, Colonel Sanders.
there's like
KFC.
nobody knows if he's white or black down here
No.
in Florida.
What? Colonel Sanders? No.
Yeah.
He's white. He's white. I think he's from what? Yeah, he's from Kentucky, I guess. That's why I call it Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right.
But no, he lived in Toronto, I think, for like 10 years. But he didn't get rich until his, I think it was late 50s, early 60s. That's when he got rich with the whole thing, right? But like, you know what? As far as like going back with the whole banking system and you know,
And
even
what was
Tesla.
it? Last month was May. The May Day. May Day is about the workers that were hung for
Yeah.
fighting for a 40-hour workday. They were
Yeah.
put to death. Okay, in this country, the United States of America.
Yeah.
They were
Exactly.
hung in the Times Square, I don't know, public square, wherever,
Yeah.
for fighting for the 40-hour work week.
Yeah. Look what they did to Wilhelm Reich. They did one of the biggest book burning things ever. You know, like they were burning, you know, science literature. They burned it because the FDA was terrified of Wilhelm Reich. Wilhelm Reich was so far ahead of everybody when it came
The
to
simple truth between
medical.
Ukraine and Russia is they don't like anything close to the free market on their border.
Yeah, but half those people were all planted by Wall Street, anyways. They're all stooges.
They may be, but
They were all stooges.
they are competing with each other over products and sales and marketing and all that stuff, and they don't want, you know. Look,
Like even
the wall,
Saddam
may,
Hussein.
the wall may have come down in the 90s, but it went covert. It's not dead.
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
It's
definitely.
underground, even more so than these intelligence agencies that were operating the communist governments when it was in operation.
Yeah. It's like a huge game of chess, right? And you know the globalists, you know the guys, you know
We're
the
not
top,
here.
you know the top
We don't
1%.
exist.
Yeah, we're the pawns. We're the innocent pawns, and these guys are the gamblers. You know, like,
Putin is there to help mask communism, keep it covert.
yeah.
He's
Well,
playing the role of someone who supports the free market. Look,
he
he's begging
is.
Korea for money right now, and they're
you
saying no.
You know what?
He's asking for money with nothing in return. And they're
He's
saying
nothing.
no because he didn't offer them anything in return. He's not a capitalist, okay? He's a communist.
Yeah, but
he takes. He doesn't give.
Yeah, you got to understand too. Putin.
I mean, not that I know of. He didn't offer. I don't know if he offered North Korea any oil, or I don't know.
No, you have to understand Putin. Okay, he was put into power by the CIA, the globalists, just like just like Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi. All these guys are stooges.
Maybe Saddam, but I don't believe Putin.
Yeah, they will look back in history. Who put Saddam Hussein into power?
We're gonna get
okay. The West put him in power. Same thing with what's his name, Bin Laden. Okay, he was a CIA agent. He was a double agent for the CIA. He was funded. He was funded by the CIA when the Russians tried to invade Afghanistan back in the 80s. He gave him all the money he needed, all the weaponry, everything he needed to fight the Russians off. And he kicked the Russians' ass and sent them back to Russia.
Right, I get your point there.
And then,
I get your point.
Right, they're double agents. You think these guys in power are not
You
double
think
agents? Of course they are. They're all
Zelensky
double
is a
agents.
double agent?
Gaddafi is another one. He got out of line. They eliminated him. He was quiet for years. He was quiet for years. They left him alone. He was
It's a
stirring.
solid theory, but why is it just the CIA? You never heard of the Russian intelligence? Or the
Well,
KGB?
well, I can imagine that Mossad
The
was probably
KGB.
involved. KGB, Mossad, all these intelligence agencies. They got
MI6 or whatever.
MI6, sure. Mossad,
They're getting like
you know.
red flag.
Oh yeah, look at Mossad. They're probably one of the most craziest of them all.
I heard the name. I didn't know that was. I didn't know that was an intelligence agency.
Yeah, Mossad. That's the Israeli version of the CIA.
No,
It's Mossad. Yeah,
I did not know that.
and they're very dangerous. They're probably worse than the CIA. Oh yeah, a lot of people.
The whole thing is the CIA is not an American. It may be privately funded by some American companies. It's not part of the American government, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's like,
and actually, none of these intelligence agencies are part of any government that
because they kind of
operate under.
Well, they operate above the law all the time. Everybody knows the CIA killed Kennedy. That's just pretty much a given. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I talked to Jim Mars, okay, back in 2005 when he just put out his book Crossfire.
Jim Marks. I don't know.
Jim Mars. Yeah, he's
Mars.
from
Jim Mars. You talked to him?
Yeah, I had 2 interviews with him.
He's
he's the nicest guy on the planet. Yeah, he's the nicest guy on the planet.
He talks a lot about Mars, no? Or something
he talks. He put out a book back around 2005 called Crossfire, and he came on my show and talked about the Kennedy assassinations, and also the Roswell
he talked
stuff.
about all the conspiracies, but he also talked about something to do with the 20 and back. He sounded like that. He never said that. Exactly like that, but he's something about some kind of a space program or something.
Oh yeah, the secret space program. He knew all about that like 25 years ago.
He was the first person to bring out that whole topic.
No, it was actually Bill Cooper, I believe, was the guy who originally started, and the government killed. Right. Yeah, and they killed him.
Yeah, they killed, and then Jim Mars.
Yeah, Bill Cooper was notorious. Like, you should have seen Bill Cooper go after Art Bell. Oh my God, I heard a couple of interviews with those two going at it.
Isn't Art Bell Canadian or something, or in Canada?
No. He lived in Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah, Prump, Nevada. Yeah, he always lived there. His wife was Filipino, which I found kind of interesting because my wife's Filipino. But yeah, him and Bill Cooper, it was like they were like nemesis. They were like, Bill Cooper just despised Art Bell to the highest level. And I heard a couple of interviews with those guys. Oh my God, it was epic fighting. Like,
Bill Cooper's kind of, I mean, I don't know the guy, but watching him talk, he's a kind of a direct individual.
Yeah. That's somebody
he's not going to be polite. He don't seem like a polite person.
Anybody who's in the live chat tonight, just type in Bill Cooper, and you can see some of the stuff that he was into. He was like way over the top. Like, he was probably
to know about all the underground stuff.
Yeah, all the underground bases, the secret space program. He was the guy that kind of brought it out. He was, and that's why he went after Art Bell, because a lot of stuff that Art Bell did was, a lot of it was fiction. Some of the stuff was maple leaf, right? It wasn't real. And it's like, well, what side are you on? Are you going with the maple leaf stuff, or are you going with the real stuff?
Did you know that the ceiling fan came out in 1879, around there? Electric ceiling fan.
Yeah, well, Tesla probably designed the motor for
it. In 1879?
Now, was it DC powered or AC powered? It could have been DC powered, because I know Edison. I actually went to Thomas Edison's first.
Tesla wasn't even in the country yet.
Yeah, like Edison, if he put out a fan like that, because I went to New
It
York
was.
City a
I'm
while
sorry. It
ago.
was the fan was created by the Singer Sewing Company. They had
Singer,
electric
don't.
sewing machines.
So I think the original, well, the Singer sewing machines back then, I believe, were AC, weren't they?
I
Or
don't know.
I could be
I think
mistaken.
so.
I thought they used the foot pedal, like to make the thing.
Well,
Like, I
yeah,
remember
Yes,
that's
they
how they.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had the foot pedal. My grandmother actually had one of
yeah,
those.
my grandmother had those too.
Yeah, but yeah, I actually went to Edison. I seen Edison's first power plant in New York City when I was there. Yeah, and I actually
So
walked.
I was looking at this guy that said he was time traveling. He was in an old. It was fake, but whatever. There was a ceiling fan up in the ceiling, right? And he went into like a saloon in the 1800s. It was somewhere just a
Oh,
tourist attraction. He was trying to claim it was time travel. I said in the message there on the channel, I said, "You mean they had ceiling fans in 1880?" And somebody replied that actually knew the answer to that. They said, "Yeah, the 1879, the fan was developed by Edison's daughter or something like that."
I
It's
mean,
not
if
or
thinking of the mechanics, I think it's like one of those, the wind turbines to tell you the direction of air connected to something that
like
goes into a room,
Edison's
and
daughter got it from the Singer family they coordinated to make the fan, something like that. Like someone that had a name of Edison on their name. It sounded like a female name with the last name Edison.
oh, I found. I was watching a video this week.
Donna Edison or something.
I was watching a video this week on YouTube, and they were talking about Edison. You would be totally shocked on the real history of Thomas Edison
I
and
think
where
his
he
family
got
was
started.
connected into all those things, inventions and stuff.
No, Thomas Edison. Um, I'm not going to say it online. It's one of those things I have to be careful what I say. But he met J.P. Morgan on a train going cross country, and he worked on the train. And let's just say Thomas Edison was kind of into nefarious things back in those days, and he got basically into meeting up with J.P. Morgan just by chance being on the train, and one thing led to another, and eventually found out he had some talents for making things and whatever. But yeah, uh, I'll maybe take more on that story. It's kind of like uh, um, what do you call Einstein too, because Einstein stole 98% of his theory of relativity and all that stuff. All this stuff is plagiarized. Like even regular mainstream science, and even some of the guys I heard on Apex saying, you know, um, he did this and he did that, and I'm going, all this stuff was stolen. All this stuff that at
Einstein worked at the
Einstein,
patent office.
he worked at the patent office. He stole so much stuff off other physicists
Yeah,
in his
mostly
day.
from Henri Poincaré. He stole
Yeah, that's right.
he,
You're
he
right.
equals
Yes.
MC square,
Yep.
the term relativity and the
Yep.
gravitational wave.
Heavy side. He stole stuff. He stole so much off of all these other guys, and it was because he was at the right place at the right time. He was, he had the right narrative. So, the elites,
Why did he
basically
steal it? Maybe
protected
he
him.
was just like repeating
See,
what he learned.
see, the original theory of relativity was written by his wife, not
Yeah,
him.
Yeah, I
And
heard that too.
when he won the Nobel Prize for the theory of relativity, you get $4 million when you win that prize. In the contract that he
Whoa,
had with his wife,
that's a
that
different
money
story.
was given to his wife. He said,
Four
"I don't care."
million dollars. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. In
That's
those
in the
days, that was
1900s, early
a
1900s.
lot of money. So that money went to his wife, not him.
Where did
Because
that money come from to have someone write the theory of relativity?
yeah,
Or was that
I
the?
no
What
no
was it?
that's no
Somebody
that's the
was
pro.
offering the money
what,
because they wrote that.
That's the prize money you win when you win the Nobel Prize.
The
That's
Nobel Prize.
yeah.
what Einstein did, he embraced and extended extended other physicists' work. That's basically what he did, just like Bill Gates. But did you know that Einstein was a Freemason? It's
Yep.
kind of a
Yep.
group of rich people. They gather together and they you know they kind of even the what was his name, um, the president of the United States was friend with Einstein back in the 1930s. Roosevelt is that it?
Yeah.
Roosevelt.
Yeah. Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was another Mason as well.
Do you
And
know that there are some presidents that there's a specific division?
Wait,
They're the ones that determine if the president is sound of getting to look at that file or not sound enough to look at that file. And it's a committee of scientists,
Yeah.
that make that determination. There are a lot of presidents that never hear about this file in their life, throughout their presidency that it exists because, the scientific community deems them incompetent to give them access to it. I mean,
Yeah.
simply put, and
Yeah.
so
so
the president is not the ultimate decider.
nope, the president is not the ultimate decider. Nope, and that's the truth. It's the scientific community because any action on a president makes, their advisors, especially scientific advisors, because like any strike has a lot of environmental impact, and you have to have scientists involved to you know measure this stuff if it's within parameters of reason or it's going to cause a major catastrophe. And so we guys assume, oh, they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and all like what media propaganda like tries to condition us to believe. But the real it's a coalition of scientists globally, but real physicists, real like ones that just they're above the law. And if you're talking about Freemasonry, that group would be the Freemasons. They they're above a country. They're a league of
well, they
scientists,
do have
not
a large
you know
array of scientists behind them too, don't they?
Yeah. See, the problem is like back in those days, like I'm talking just before Einstein came onto the scene, that you had Tesla, you had Steinmetz, you had J.J. Thomson, and all these guys coming up with the real science, the real stuff, and then out of nowhere, you got Einstein coming up with the photoelectric effect, right? That kind of got him known, right? That was kind of his real step into the scene. He was there even earlier, but it wasn't until the photoelectric effect came out, that he really made a stance. So at that time, I guess the best electrical
Hmm.
engineer of the time had to have been Steinmetz. Okay,
Oh,
he was, and
yeah,
he was the
You're
head
talking about
of.
World War One.
This was just right around during. I guess it'd be during World War One. Yeah.
That would
So
be Roosevelt.
yeah. So
Eisenhower
Steinmetz,
was World
like,
War Two, no?
yeah, World War
wasn't
Two.
there
Yeah.
was like an Olympics and they wanted to light up the Olympics, and then that really when electricity became the you know
Yeah.
like, oh
Well,
my
no.
god, right?
Well,
Well,
they
it was
had in
the
the 1800s,
Well,
1880.
it was the World Exposition in Boston when Tesla used his AC system to light up the entire park, right?
Okay.
That was
So
19 something though. 19 early 19.
I can't remember the date offhand. I believe it was
It's
no, it was
20
the
years
late
later.
no, it was the late 1800s.
What was it?
Yeah, it was the late 1800s. The World Exposition in Boston. Somebody can look that up. My mind eludes me right now on the date. But anyways, that's when Tesla basically was winning the battle of the currents, and
Yeah,
then
there was a lot of inventors in the electric field during Tesla's age, but he
well,
was
I think
definitely the most exotic of them all.
well, see, whatever Tesla made, Steinmetz perfected it. He got the math down. He got all the engineering background of it. Like Tesla was a heavy duty science guy himself, very well educated. But, when it came down to getting it down on paper with theory and construction and all that stuff, Steinmetz really kind of made his stuff concrete, like really reliable. So even Steinmetz had trouble with being suppressed. There were some notes that GE refused to have him release, especially on the free energy stuff, because he did make a free energy motor, and it worked. It was
He
called
had bigger transformers than Tesla.
well, he had the power of GE. He was the head of the research division of GE, right?
The funds. Okay.
So basically, that's a conglomeration of Westinghouse and Edison Corporation that would eventually became what we knew today as GE, right? So Steinmetz was the head electrical engineer for GE at that time. So he had over, I believe, 200 or 300 patents to his name in his lifetime. He died young because he was disfigured. He was a dwarf, and he had a lot of medical issues. But in his short life, they call him the big little man because he basically had a free ticket in GE. Whatever he wanted, he got it. He needed equipment, he got it. It was no questions asked. So when Steinmetz died in 1929, that was pretty much the end of the real electrical engineering as we know it today. Basically, it ended with Steinmetz. No real big, breakthroughs in electrical science has gone forward since 1929.
Right.
And that's when the relativity guys took over. Like, the physicists hate electricity. They can't stand it. They despise it.
Yeah, because electricity is the way to prove all of the, not only the formulas, but the experiments that show different effects in physics alone.
That's right. Because it's like, you could tell a tall tale, right?
You can
right
connect
nose.
electricity to every effect you see.
Sure, and
that's non-electrical.
And the physicists hate it. They hate it. They despise it. And that's
like,
why.
Okay.
Question.
Can I give an example on that real quick? On how you can use electricity to prove you can become a better physicist than any physicist in the world if all you do is think about if you're a troubleshooter of electricity,
right?
That's it. You're a physicist, but you just don't know how to do formulas and stuff. But you can decipher what others cannot. Like, for instance, they tried to debunk this guy, the actor. I'm not. What is his name? The guy with the 1 and 1 times 1 is 2.
Terrence Howard.
Right. There was a debunking video where they had two men pushing on a stone that's vertical. They were both facing each other, the two men, and the stone was in the middle. And they said, "Does the stone go anywhere?" And no, it doesn't. But does that mean that the two forces are still one force in that stone?
Yeah, exactly.
You see, and that's thinking electrically. Okay.
Yeah.
You can only see that if you think electrically.
Yeah.
And not in all these other ways.
See, when you're talking with
and then think in those other ways, but electricity is always choosing the path of least resistance.
Yeah, I think the problem is with physicists is the fact that everything they're saying is if we can't put it on paper, it doesn't exist.
That I don't know who wrote that phrase, but it's so accurate.
Right. It's totally right.
Energy is seeking the path of least resistance. That's just right. That's it right there.
That's the problem with physicists. Is they all have like 2 or 3 postdoctorates and things like that. So they don't want anybody to say what they've been studying for the last 20 years is wrong.
No, what it's trying to say is their ego is so big to think that because if you can't put it on paper, it doesn't exist. Now that is the
That's a good way of putting it.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
But nonetheless, the two men pushing 10 pounds on each side of the rock is 20 pounds on the rock. So it is 1 times 1 is 2 in this case.
Yeah.
The guy tried to debunk it. I mean, I was just listening. I wasn't trying to
take
sides. But It just so happens that, I think electrically, that rock is a piezoelectric rock. It's going to create, if one man is pushing 10, this is a 1,000 pound rock. 10 pounds ain't going to move it. But if you push 10 pounds on one side of it, the voltage on that rock is going to increase 10 points.
Yeah.
If you got another man on the other side putting another 10 pounds, there's another 10 points on that voltage. That's pressure.
Yeah. I think what it boils down to is, you got physicists.
So one times one is not one.
It's one. Mike.
If you have one man, let me give another example. If you have one guy on the one side and two guys on the other, that's not 1 times 1, but you still have 30 units. Each person is 10 units. You have 20 units on one side, 10 units on the other.
Yeah.
The rock is still 1,000 pounds. Neither units on either side is going to move that rock. So the rock is going to absorb the 30 units. It's not going to cancel. It's not going to be moved because it's heavier than 10 pounds. It's 1,000 pounds. You need at least 1,000 pounds to disrupt the rock's position.
Yeah. See, I think what it boils down to, Mike, is physicists are theoretical physicists. They're theorizing.
They're mathematicians. They're not theoretical.
They're theorizing. They think that the mathematics solves every single problem. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, it doesn't. Because if that were the case, we would be a lot further down the road than where we are. So I think the problem is with the physicists, we're dealing with a lot of ego and ignorance.
Yeah,
it's all math. You don't.
I mean, just check out. Just even Stephen Hawking. He was.
Yeah.
He was trying to explain his last theory was like, a multiverse theory with different physics laws. Something really weird.
He said that when you enter the singularity, all the molecules are evenly dispersed. I don't agree with that.
No,
I don't think that you can even.
No,
there is no entering a singularity. First of all,
no. The universe is based on what do you call non-equilibrium? Okay, if there was equilibrium, everything would cease to work. There has to be a uneven, uneven equilibrium. You're right. And that's why
the signals just invert. They're not destroyed. They're just inverted on the other side. They're not destroyed.
Yeah, that's right. You can't destroy electricity. It just changes from one form to another, and that's equal. That's an isometric non-equilibrium system. And even Bearden talked about that. That's the only way that the universe continues to keep rolling and going. Things coming out of reality, things coming back into reality. That's why these theoretical physicists are freaking
water going
out.
In one side of the black hole would come out fire on the other,
or vice versa. Like you could have, say, be a good example. Yeah, just like water turning into steam. It's changing from one state of matter to another state of matter. Then when you cool off the steam, it condenses.
That's where the singularity exists, back when the matter changes state, right there.
Right, when you're changing the state of matter. So like water, perfect example. A boiling pot of water, it goes from a liquid form to a gaseous form, goes up into the atmosphere. If it cools down fast enough, it comes down as rain. So it goes back, flips back and forth, back and forth.
The second a really good mathematician, like a world-renowned mathematician like Stephen Hawking, tries to theorize, it's only going to work out 50% of the time because they're always looking at the worst case scenario. I don't know why, but they let their personality do the theorizing. That's why they don't step outside their own person to theorize.
Yeah, I think when it comes to theoretical physicists, all of them have got so much egos. It's so many egos. Like it's like they think they're at a different level than everybody else, and half of them haven't even done any experiments because it's all theory. Theory means
only
nothing.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but that was my point because Stephen Hawking was explaining something really weird about the multiverse or something before the Big Bang. Okay, whatever. They can't even explain the flyby anomaly, near the Earth. They explain it with dark matter and all that nonsense. And that's the problem. It's they think
I'm not familiar
because
with this flyby thing. What's that?
the flyby anomaly. It's probes coming back to Earth, like satellite and stuff like that. The time is
You
not.
mean like a UFO thing or whatever?
Yeah, UFO. The
They
time.
can't explain like a ball of light zooming past that just doesn't look like a meteor or whatever.
Yeah, the time dilation. There's time dilation in altitude. So they measure that the time dilation is not what is being predicted by general relativity. So they say, oh, there must be dark matter. It's what a bunch of
Well,
morons.
what about those GoPro cameras they put on rockets and they record it, right? And it's got audio, and you could see these rockets go way up and really fast, and all of a sudden they just dead stop, and you hear a thump, almost like you're throwing a rock in a pond of water real fast.
Mm-hmm.
What is up with that? Did you see that video before?
No, I heard.
They used to have. I mean, it's hard to find now, probably, but look up GoPro rocket hits the firmament or whatever, something like that, and the rocket goes up and it hits something up there.
Yeah, but are you talking about maybe like the Van
It doesn't
Allen belt?
damage the camera or nothing. It just like hits like a pillow or a blanket or whatever, an invisible.
I don't know, because that's going into the flat Earth theory, and
it never makes it to space. Right, there you go. Right, the flat Earth guys. Right.
I'm totally against that.
If you guys believe in
they just
law
got
of
that
conservation,
then
we could derive that the Big Bang was, the law of conservation being applied till one point where matter was so condensed, into a point where it exploded, and that's the Big Bang.
I don't even believe in the Big Bang theory at all. I think that's a big farce too.
Did you know also that general relativity doesn't even respect the laws of the conservation of energy?
Yeah, so it's contradicting, totally contradicting.
It all breaks it all apart.
Like in the beginning, Einstein did not believe in, the ether or dark matter, and then just before he dies, then he's reconsidering the possibility of it. Like, you got a lot of these physicists, they'll support a certain theory for a long time, and then
dark matter, is that supposed to be the stuff in between stuff?
Well, that's the ether. We're talking about ether, where the 0-point energy emanates the background fluctuations that
like the space in between our molecules.
The fabric of space.
It's the fabric of space. It's like a spongy. It's like a spongy.
Well, they say nothing's actually connected. They say that nothing's connecting really, even molecules.
Everything is connected. Everything is connected.
They're invisibly connected by an invisible space that you cannot see. It's so small.
They've even proven this in a laboratory where you take two photons, okay, and you could have
they're polarized together. They're not touched. They're called magnetically connected.
No, they're called entangled. No, they're called entanglement.
Through energy, yeah.
It's called entanglement. So you can take one photon on one side, rotate it, and then the other photon will follow. And it could be millions of miles apart. It will still do it.
But it only works once.
No, it works all the time.
That makes sense.
It works all the time.
It only works once, the quantum entangled state. And then after that, the
between that photon and whatever photon it pairs up with on the other side.
Random spin, That's the thing about quantum entanglement. You cannot get anything useful. Like you can't
that might explain those videos where people are shooting the lasers up and something points a laser back at them. What you just explained there about the photon and then the quantum entanglement thing.
I haven't heard about that one.
You said that you swivel a photon and then
you can take
photon far away will entangle with it.
Right.
One time.
That's right.
I followed you. Well,
Can you hear
people were
me?
shooting lasers up in the dark sky because they're
Hello.
seeing something up
Yeah,
there,
I can hear you.
and it shoots a laser back at them. Is that the same kind of effect going on there? It's light quantumly entangling. It's just another laser just
Oh,
out of
can
nowhere.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lulu.
And the Skinwalker Ranch thing, they're shooting lasers over there too, and the lasers are like coming out in another area of the ranch in a different direction. Like they went through some kind of a portal and came out another portal.
Where on the Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did one show of a bunch of lasers, and they had that happened. I saw that.
Right.
They're
Sorry, I
playing it.
disconnected.
Yeah. I
But,
think your mic went on mute.
yeah,
But
to go back to the
No, I
mainstream.
usually leave it on mute so the background noise doesn't affect the connection.
Oh, okay.
Quasi
To
crystals
go back
can
to the
reflect this
mainstream
light.
academia, is all it does for me is just a big giant pinball machine, that works amongst general relativity, string theory, Mond, and all these mainstream theories. It's just a pinball machine. When one doesn't work, they switch to the other one.
Yeah.
Back
But
and forth.
some of the latest science, Philip, is funny you mentioned that. They're saying a lot of this stuff is actually starting to re-trigger
Hard to read the electric one.
Well, yeah, it's starting to lead back to the string theory again. The string theory apparently is gaining
I
traction.
never even caught on to that string thing. I don't get it. Never understood it.
See,
Don't
I
know
was
what the hell
never
it means.
like, I'm not really into that stuff. I'm more into the engineering of stuff because, like, when you do experiments and you can identify effects by
Is that like the pile of spaghetti thing?
by observation, by actual physical observation, right? Then you know you're onto something, right? Where physicists, it's all talk. It's talk, and half those physicists, I bet you not 80% of them don't even go
It's
in
a
a lab.
racket. If you can come up with an idea, everybody will fall for, and
That's right.
That's the new theory. You get paid.
That's right. That's exact. No, but that's what's happening.
It sounds good enough.
And that's what's been going on for hundreds of years, not maybe even longer.
It's easier to do it that way than to come up with real evidence.
That's right. I like being on a bench. I like actually experimenting with stuff and trying to make things work. I don't assume anything until I see an effect. And
when it comes to real evidence on science,
you need to get government
auto company
funded
did the best.
money to be able to do your research, because in the private sector it's so competitive, so it would have to be like somebody that has real funds, taxpayer dollar funds that could support that.
Yeah, but they go under a certain framework of, like you'll have, like, say, a research institute, say, for an example, just for sake of matter conversation, say, like, trying to develop a thing to fight off cancer, right? Well, everybody in those institutions know if they come up with the solution for cancer, they just eliminated their jobs.
Zinc.
Right? So, they'll spend billions and billions of dollars in, cancer research and hoping to find a cure when they probably could have found it. Well, they probably did find a cure a long time ago. But if they ever came out with it, then, all that research funds go out the window.
Yeah, don't tell me in the last 50 years they couldn't find a cure for cancer, but they did in a few months for COVID.
There was a doctor. I forget his name. I seen the interview with his grandson, basically his grandson. He was back in the 30s. He actually found a cure for cancer. It turned out he was treating people with plum seed, and he would take the plum seed, he would smash it up into little pieces, bake it in the oven, and start eating it with yogurt. Well, it turned out he had a cancer that he was, I think he had skin cancer or something like that. So he started eating this plum seed, and it basically, eliminated the cancer. The cancer, and then he started treating people because back in the 30s, a lot of doctors were actually holistic doctors, naturopath, but also, regular mainstream. But they had holistic in their repertoire. So he started curing people. Well, the FDA didn't like him too much, to the point where they actually arrested him and actually threw him in the
I think
brig
I
for
heard of this
10
guy.
years.
Oh yeah. Well,
They threw him in jail because he had a cancer treatment for people, and
well,
yeah, he was. Oh yeah, they threw him in the brig for well over 10 years,
it's just
and
nuts.
yeah.
Do
So
you know how sad that is when, you know, okay, let's solve one problem at a time. If there's a cure for cancer, give it to the people. Now let's focus on cellular reconstruction.
yeah,
Meaning,
see,
can we, start implementing new ways to regenerate somebody's organs for,
yeah.
by,
But the thing
there are
is,
so many
To
fields
support
of,
your ALD gains pathway.
science. So
yeah,
what
they.
if,
I agree with you, but the problem is capitalism is taking control of every sector, health, every sector of our economy. How much did the pharma companies make off COVID?
Yeah,
Billions
but
and
it's
billions of
I
dollars.
understand,
it's
but
it's,
if we
it's
ever want to become a type 1 civilization, it's not just in the energy output, but it's also in the medical advancement as well.
the
Yeah,
And,
problem.
when we solve the cancerous issue, we have now, we can have all the focus, on really like cellular DNA regeneration for living people to fix anything that is wrong, but, with on the DNA level. That alone would take like so much amount of time, and anybody that was profiting from cancer could profit from this too, and much
yeah,
more. Like,
yeah. That's the problem. It's the profiteering off of
But
people's suffering.
the problem is not capitalism. The problem is um,
Profiteering.
the monopoly monopoly the laws on monopoly are
Yeah,
not are not enforced.
yeah,
We don't do anything. Microsoft is eating another company eating the globe. Nobody's not doing anything again with
no,
the
it's supposed to be a bigger picture. It's supposed to be population timing. It's supposed to be like pre-writing what, at what time should the population be able to achieve a level of science, and like you design your population best, based on achieving milestone goals, and
mm,
cancer is one of those things,
yeah,
because that paves the way for something much more complex, and a lot more scientists are needed for that. So if you could free
yeah.
up the scientists time, the ones that are making cures for cancer, maybe they, a larger number of them could come up with something that really gives our species an advancement forward,
Yeah.
in
yeah,
lifetime expectancies and such.
But
yeah,
just to give you an idea, the deep state was able to finance the Vatican
yeah,
back in the 19th century. They were able to finance the Second World War. So with the profit they had, can you imagine what they're able to do these days?
yeah.
You know,
It's
with
freaky.
all the money they gain,
I know.
every time we have to pay our credit cards fee every month,
Yeah,
indirectly goes into their pockets. So
yeah,
can you imagine
I
what
feel
they're
like
able
the
to do?
Vatican is like a one big gang, like a bunch of thugs, like using religion to do whatever they want, and nobody could say no. The second somebody says no, oh, you're excommunicated from the church. You
yeah,
and your country and your people and this and that, and then like it just
yeah. You're
a lot of
exactly right.
nations, yeah,
Yep,
get
yep.
scared because it's so they're a big
I
gang
think that happened
using
to me a long
God
time ago.
as the tool for them controlling this planet. I
But
don't see them anything other than that.
the Vatican was good in the medieval times and everything, but the problem is it got infiltrated by the Masons 200
Yep,
years ago.
yep,
That's what happened.
yep. That's exactly right. It's like anything. It gets corruption. It
I
doesn't
Yeah.
think
matter.
before that it was the Italian mob that infiltrated them
It
long time
doesn't. It
ago.
doesn't. Honestly, at this point, it really doesn't matter who it is. The
You know,
problem is every single
Italy
institution
has
that's
64
in our
politics.
world right now is corrupted. That's the
Yeah.
problem, and that's why we have the world we have right now. You know, It's about power, money and power. You got money, you got power. You can influence governments. You can, you know, push your agenda. You can influence governments, lobby. The lobbying
Yeah,
that goes on.
lobbying.
So yeah, it's a really complex problem, but it really affects everything, right from just everyday living to science to medical, to advancing our species, in a
Yeah,
positive way, affecting the planet. How
mm,
badly we've been given this planet to live on, so we could actually live, and we're freaking destroying it.
yeah.
We're destroying
But
it.
that's the
You know,
thing because
irresponsible. We're
i-
irresponsible species.
That's your ego talking. You can't destroy
innovation
this planet.
innovation goes against their
We don't
agenda
have that
because
kind of power.
innovation goes against their agenda because their agenda is to endebt us.
You try though.
Yeah,
They make a mess out of it.
That we like natural resources are abundant on a per capita and person per person, like globally. There is enough fish in the sea for everybody. There is enough of every element that could give
we
a
don't even have
human.
to, Lulu. It's to the point now
The
where
planet's
you
gonna
know,
cough us out when we become,
yeah,
a
we're
problem.
like a flea. We're like a flea in a cat or a dog's fur. If it wants to
You're
get rid
dealing
of
with
us,
a
it will.
mass that's been around since probably before time existed, in my opinion.
Like, honestly, with the knowledge that's been going on with the free energy movement and all this stuff, we don't even need to tap our resources. All the energy is in the free space around us. We just got to learn how to capture it properly and utilize it. We don't have to touch anything on the planet anymore. The only thing we should really be protecting is our fresh water. That's at stake. When you don't have fresh water, you got problems. It's
Remember,
one
you're
thing.
also tapping into the monetized bandwidth that they control. So
Yeah,
you can do the free energy, but once you are stealing from their metered bandwidth, you become a problem.
that's
And
right.
these so
That's
you
right.
also have to understand, like, you could be the scrambler for their frequency if you when you create your own and amplify your own circuitry, in your
Mm,
house. So
Yeah,
yep.
that's
my
another
where's the
thing.
Skinwalker Ranch? What state is that?
Skinwalker, I believe, is in Washington.
No, it's not.
Not
It's in
Washington.
one of
It's
No,
them.
no, no, it's
uh,
somewhere like in closer to like the California side.
yeah. It's
New
sorry.
Mexico. New Mexico.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I'm
I've
not
been
sure.
there.
I don't
Colorado.
really
It's one
follow.
of the two.
I don't really follow that stuff.
Well, anyway,
I
if you
I
were
like it
driving through
because
there, would you stop by?
Skinwalker Ranch, from what I
Yeah.
heard about it, no, I'd be staying very, very far away from that place. There's something like
why.
really demonic going on there.
No, it's like a gravity fluctuation. So different things from different fields, it can be observed. Because
The only thing, the only thing I would do if I were to go to Skinwalker Ranch, I would take my Renegade device and run it there and see what happens.
You think there's something under the ground there, like
I don't know. I honestly, I know very little about Skinwalker. I know weird
I think there's
phenomena
something under
happens there.
the ground.
If there is a ley
so
line going
so they
through there,
say. So they say. Again, so they say. Remember,
nah,
this is a television show. It's
nah.
supposed to keep people up on their
When you
toes.
think about it, if there are craft ability to spend time and to get here, they
I
can
think
easily warp under the ground without disturbing the ground.
you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if there is a ley line system going through that property.
We
If
could
there,
not compete with that at all.
it would be very interesting to see how my motor would actually run in that environment there. I don't know if it would attract, phenomena to the device or not. I've had that happen to my device on a couple of occasions. Where I had some weird phenomena happen outside of,
There's something under the
in the
ground
space.
there with all kinds of sensors looking for activity, automated stuff. And it
Oh, I
turns
know they've
on whenever they do laser shows or whatever, shoot up rockets. It's turning on this, whatever's under the ground. It's turning on its sensors.
yeah.
That's my opinion. There's some kind of technological craft under the ground there with sensors, and every time they do any kind of stuff flying around in the air there, it turns on the sensors, and you get all that weird anomalies going on. Turns out it's little UFO to do its patrol, and if you're in the way, or your dog is, their dog got squashed in one of the episodes. One of the persons who used to live there, he had a dog that got squashed, literally flattened out on the ground.
Anyways, guys, it's after 11 here. I'm pretty beat. I've had, I started my new job this week, so I'm a little bit beat. Can you guys just stay online after we go off air? I got to talk to you guys offline. Yeah, we'll go live again next Friday at actually, you know what? Next Friday is the long weekend here. So we're probably not going to do a show next week because it's the Canada Day weekend, and also 4th of July is coming up for our American brothers. Yeah, I think we'll do a show probably the first Friday in July. So we'll leave that weekend open. So I know I'm going away. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going up north. I'm going camping. So yeah, get away from the city and enjoy the family a little bit. And I hope everybody has a great week, and happy 4th of July to our American brothers, and to my fellow Canadians, happy Canada Day, July 1st. And yeah, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
Luke.